Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and this is my open book. In today's video, we're going to change things up a little bit. I usually do monthly wrap-ups at the end of the month to tell you everything I read, with all the ratings, my feelings, things like that. But I feel like those videos are getting a bit too long and it's hard for me to edit because I talk too long about all the books and I feel like it's too long. So I'm going to start doing weekly wrap-ups in addition to my other videos. So I'm going to be uploading twice a week now instead of once a week. So every Monday I'm going to upload my weekly wrap-up of what I read the week before. And then I'm still going to upload other videos every Friday like I usually do. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's chat about the books I read in the first week of September. Now, if you watch my August wrap-up, you will know that the last book I read in August was like my favorite book of the year, One Last Shot by Nike Castle. And I definitely went into a little bit of a reading slump after reading that book just because it felt like nothing could compare. So the first book I tried to read was In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. Now, I was actually really excited about this one. I loved the first book in the series called Love Light Farms. That was a Christmas romance that I really enjoyed. So I thought that I was going to really enjoy this one. It's the second book in the series, and I love because obviously these characters are in the first book as like side characters, so I was kind of like rooting for them and I was curious to see like how their love story would develop. But this one I ended up DNFing. I don't know if this is just like right book, wrong time for me, because like I said, I read it after I read One Last Shot. I don't know, but as you can see, I do have some tabs, so like there's still some great lines in here. I still enjoy B.K. Borison as an author. I think just these particular characters, for some reason, when it was time for their love story, I didn't really connect with them as much as I thought I would. And I realized I got pretty far in. Like, I think I got like 200 pages in. And I just realized that like I couldn't care less what happened to these characters or what was gonna happen. I don't know what it was. So this was a tough one. I was gonna power through, but I'm just like, there are so many other books that I could be reading that I think I would enjoy more. And I just wasn't having a good time with this one. So I don't know. I still really want to read the rest of the series. She actually just announced like the new one that's coming out. She showed the cover of it and it looks really cute. And then I still have Mixed Signals to read after this one. And I'm really excited about that book too. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try picking it up again in the future, but I DNF'd this at the beginning of the month. I also ended up DNFing Autumn Nights by Will of Aster. This was the only ebook I attempted to read last week. And this one didn't work out for me either. It was my first time reading something by this author. And I just didn't like her writing style, and I didn't like the character dynamic between these two people. Yeah, I don't know, there was just something about it that was like too cringy for me. Basically the premise of this one is it seemed like the female main character was at her sister's wedding and she meets the male main character who's a famous football player, and they're having a really good time together. Like, he thinks that she's into him, she thinks that he's into her. They're kind of like, you know, flirting back and forth, dancing, whatever. You know going into it as the reader based on the blurb, but it's a single dad romance, so you know he has a kid, but she doesn't know that yet. And she overhears him on the phone like saying good night darling or good night baby or something like that. So obviously she thinks like he's cheating on his girlfriend or something with her, so she like totally gives him the cold shoulder the rest of the night, and he doesn't even know what he did to make her mad. I don't know, that part kind of made me annoyed because it's like you're not even gonna talk to him. Like you don't even, I don't know, it just seemed really silly and kind of stupid. She goes back after the wedding, and I guess she's like an interior designer, and he called her boss and demanded that she go live with him to like redo his house or so. I don't know, it didn't work for me. Was my favorite. If you read other things by this author that you think are better that I should read instead of this one, let me know. But this was not for me. Not for me. Next up, I read Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Their love was definitely ugly. I will say that. Like, Colleen Hoover definitely delivered on the title of this book. She did not mislabel this book, that's for sure. This is a hard one for me to review and rate just because it was super emotional, super angsty, and I liked the characters. Like, obviously I wanted them to be together. There was dual timeline in this, but the flashbacks are actually the male main character with another female. So you knew that in the present timeline, there's a reason why Miles, the main character, doesn't want to get with the female main character, Tate. So you know that there's something that happened in his past to where he basically has decided he can't love anybody else ever again. So it's showing you flashbacks to his first love back in high school, in between the present timeline of him interacting with Tate now. So him and Tate kind of developed like a, I guess, friends with benefits, but they weren't even really friends before they started to sleep together, so I don't even think you can call it that. But obviously, like, he's very clear. He's like, I don't anticipate falling in love. Like, I can't love anybody after stuff that happened to me that I don't want to talk about. And you just have to be okay with that if you want to see where this goes. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. But, like, obviously it bothered her. But she thought, you know, girls think they can always be the one to change him. So she does it anyway. Gets her heart broken. It's super messy, super emotional. Now, I like a good messy romance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every romance has to be pretty or perfect or, you know, by any means. But I just don't know how I feel about this one. Obviously, Colleen Hoover did a great job. Like, you're very invested. It's very emotional. It's definitely a page turner because you want to know what happened in his past because you don't really get all the answers right away. The thing from his past was really hard for me to read. I don't even know if I should tell you to look up trigger warnings because I feel like that'll spoil the book. But just make sure you got some tissues ready if you're gonna brave reading this book. Yeah, very sad. I think this was just hard for me to give a good rating on because I personally still want my romance to be enjoyable at the very least. And I feel like I couldn't even enjoy it because even in the flashbacks with his first love, like, I know it doesn't work out, so I couldn't even enjoy those chapters, even though those chapters were really sweet. I tapped a lot of lines because there's some, like, I love the way Colleen Hoover writes love. I love how she shows all the different kinds of love that there are in the world, all the different sides of it, how it develops, how it changes from person to person. So I still think it's enjoyable in that sense. Like, her writing is still really great. I think if this book were written by anybody else, I probably would have given it like a 1 star. I end up giving it a 3 stars as of right now. I might change it. I don't know. This is just a tough one for me. I personally liked It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us more than I did this book. But I know a lot of people say this is their favorite Colleen Hoover book. So maybe if you like super sad emotional romances, you might like this. But I personally thought it was just a little bit too depressing at some parts for me. Like, this one was tough. This one's tough. So after that book totally wrecked me, like literally, I was sobbing. I needed something a little bit more lighthearted. So I picked up Too Hot to Handle by good old Tessa Bailey. I feel like Tessa Bailey knows how to just make you smile. Like, she knows her writing is absolutely ridiculous, and she knows that her dirty talk is kind of uncalled for and totally unrealistic, and the storyline can be very silly. But you know what? Sometimes you just need that. I was talking to Joshua about this book, my husband. He's like, so it's basically like a schlocky horror film but for romance readers. I'm like, yes, exactly. Like, that's honestly how I felt reading this. Like, it was ridiculous and cheesy, but in the best way. Like, I enjoyed it. I loved every second of it. Now, would I give this like a top tier rating? No, because there were parts I thought were kind of boring or kind of dragged. Parts of it were a bit predictable and repetitive, but it was still really enjoyable. I can't decide if I want to give it like 3.5 stars or like 4 stars. I haven't decided yet, but it's going to be somewhere in there. I think I'm going to put 4 stars on Goodreads, but in the description of my review, I'll probably put 3.5. I don't know. But I definitely recommend picking this up. The sibling antics in this book are hilarious. So basically the premise of this is that Rita, the female main character, she is reading her mother's journal that recently passed. And she is one of 4 siblings, and they're all not exactly very close. They don't really talk to each other or communicate. They're the kind of siblings that only get together like once a year for holidays and that's it. Kind of had a chaotic childhood, but this is kind of like, it's not just about the romance. You can tell this series is really supposed to be centered on the siblings and them kind of like reconnecting and learning to be close with each other. So I really like that aspect of it. So I definitely want to keep reading the series for that purpose. Again, I feel like that kind of outweighed the romance in my opinion. The dirty talk was just really good, and honestly the mailman character's storyline was also pretty interesting. So he was kind of like a himbo before, but he is trying to turn over a new leaf and show that he's more than just someone to have sex with and forget about, and Rita helps him learn that about himself. So I really like this. I highly recommend. Tessa Bailey will never do me wrong. But yeah, that's actually it for the books that I've read this week. Didn't really get to read that much. Like I said, kind of went into a little bit of a slump after August. So right now I'm in the middle of Dare You to Hate Me by B. Celeste on my Kindle. I didn't even hear anyone talk about this one. What made me pick this up is I was at my Barnes & Noble and they had the second book of this series on the buy one get one half off table. So I was gonna pick that up, but then I realized, of course, it was the second book because that always happens. But I also realized that this series is on Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, okay, I can just read it on Kindle Unlimited so I don't have to buy the physical copy right now. The college football series. So this particular book, Dare You to Hate Me, this follows Ivy and Aiden. So it sounds like they were childhood friends. I'm only like 30% in. And she had a really rough home life. There is a trigger warning of unaliving yourself in this series. So just, you know, keep that in mind if you're sensitive to that topic. So she is recovering from that, and she's obviously like had to make a new life for herself. She ran away from home, I think when she was 17 or 18, something like that. And she's been, you know, she's been on her own ever since. She is in college now, and Aiden, her childhood friend, comes and gets transferred to the same college that she's at, Linden University. So it sounds like even though they were friends and he was kind of like her escape while she was in that rough childhood, she asked him to run away with her and he didn't. So that kind of like ended their friendship, and now they have she has a lot of animosity towards him because she obviously, you know, is angry that she lost the friendship because she had to run away and he wouldn't go with her. So he's obviously trying to reconnect with her because he, you know, he obviously feels bad about what happened, and you can tell that he still wants to be friends with her, but she's not really like letting him in. Now they're at the same college, so he's around a lot more than he used to be, and she's still trying to steer clear of him. That's kind of all that's really happened so far. It's still very much just like her not really letting him in and him trying to talk to her and trying to reach out, and she just keeps saying no. So nothing's really happened yet. I'll update you on this one next week, but so far so good. I really like how it's like you get glimpses of their past with how sweet he was with her and how close their bond was, and then you get, you know, how it is now where she's just like so angry. So I'm curious to see how their relationship develops. I'm excited about this one. And like I said, I haven't heard anyone talk about it, but I've been in like a football romance mood. That's why I tried to read that Autumn Nights book by Willow Astor, but this one is totally hitting the spot way better than the Willow Astor book did. So I'm excited. In terms of physical books I'm going to read next, my copy of Things We Left Behind is supposed to be coming here in the next couple of days, so I don't want to read anything too long. I was going to jump into Fourth Wing or Magnolia Parks, but those are like really long books, so I feel like I should hold off. So I think I'm just going to read something quick. I'm probably going to pick up Halloween Party by Agatha Christie because the new movie is coming out that is based off of this book, and even though it's not a romance, I still love reading a good mystery, especially Agatha Christie. I have her whole collection up here. Look at that. I have been collecting all of her books. So when I saw this movie was coming out, I picked up a copy of Barnes & Noble. So, because I haven't read this one yet. So I want to make sure I can read it before I see the movie. So, those are my plans for next week, but we'll see what I actually end up reading because I'm a mood reader. I don't like to be super picky and plan out every single book on my TBR. So, I'll keep you guys posted. I hope you like this new format where it's a little bit of a shorter video, but then I can hopefully go more in depth on my feelings and my reviews of everything. Give this video a like if you like this new format. Leave a comment down below telling me about the books that you read last week. Hit that subscribe button so that we can chat in my next video, which will be on Friday. Bye guys.